to help me remember to press the record button, that would be awesome. So then you can come back and watch this anytime that you need to, if you miss a class or whatever. So that's the idea here. So more voices always provide a huge, rich experience for this class. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things that are fairly collaborative and will allow, basically need some teamwork to do. But don't worry, it's not like your whole grade revolves around what you guys do in that group. It's not like you have to rely on one person or another. The idea is to float ideas to the surface and have conversations about it. And you'll kind of see how we get that scientific process going tonight. If you can be an active learner, that would be great. It makes the class way more engaging, way more fun. Technology, you can use it in learning mode. I'm obviously not going to police everybody, but there'll be lots of times where you'll be in breakout rooms with small groups communicating with one another. So you'll learn here that tonight this is probably the most amount of lecturing I'll be doing, and that's maybe 10 or 15 minutes out of pop here. And the rest of the time, we do a lot of pretty cool and fun activities. So when we do those activities, if you can just keep in mind that we want to debate ideas with evidence and not people themselves. So, the same rules of engagement happen to be cordial and kind. And, think about if I said this, if somebody said that to me, how would that make me feel? That type of thing. All right. So debate the ideas with the evidence, not the people, and then respect people's differences. It's how we learn. Everybody has a different spot that they're coming from, and maybe you've never thought of that perspective before. So this is one of the things that we want to do, is kind of honor those differences. And if we have a question or something that pops up and you're like, I don't really know, you can always pass. That's totally fine in the moment. But you'll see, I'll have lots of ways of seeing what you're doing in this class in terms of showing me what you know, which is cool. And so then, take care of your needs when you need to. We'll also have some bio breaks and things like that. We'll kind of get a feel for the class too. Some classes want to just kind of push through. Some other classes really like to have, set breaks. So we'll see how that goes this evening. So that's kind of, the norms for the class. And then for me, this is me. Hi. I was born and raised in Turlock. So Stan State's, been the ever-present kind of off in the corner of my community ever since I was born here. I used to teach at Turlock High School. I taught for 15 years there at Turlock High. This is my third year at the district working as a science coach. So basically, I take my earth science skills and help the high school folks and junior high folks and elementary folks write cool lessons in non-COVID times, and we're doing our best in COVID times too. But that's why I kind of take a different approach, I think, than a lot of different professors here. So I have a day job. That's number one. I may not be able to respond to emails super right away. I mean, I don't get off my day job until a little after, or right about 4 o'clock most days. So I'll do my best to check my school emails, multiple times a week. But if I don't get to you right away, it's because I do have a day job. And I also have a little son. You can see him down there. But I have a master's in geoscience from Mississippi State. I've done a few things. One of my big things, which is good for you, is that I like to make 3D models and virtual reality type stuff. So we're going to be able to have some interactions that maybe some of the other classes wouldn't be able to have. And it's not just going to be a lecture with me, spitting information at you all the time. And really, I'm going to try to do everything I can to help you in your journey through this class. I think, everybody, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have families, we have all sorts of other things that are happening. It's Friday nights. I totally get that and understand it. So I'm here to work with you. And I think that's my next slide. Well, no, we'll come back. But I'm here to work with you, and I want to see everybody succeed. So I'm not here to give everybody Fs if you don't do everything or something like that. So that's what this class is about. And hopefully when you're done with this class, you're going to be able to walk away from it being able to understand how the world works and see all the different awesome phenomena that are around us and outside of us, like the rains that we had this last couple of days, right? Those are record-setting rains. It's the hardest it's ever rained since records have been recorded in Turlock in Modesto. So we just lived through something that's record-setting, and we'll learn how that works and why it works a little bit later on. Oops, sorry. I got a text here from my wife every once in a while, but we're good. So that's my wife. Oh, I have a chat here. Hold on. Oops, chat's not popping up. Come on, there we go. Oh yeah, so there should be, so I think so for some folks where it says permission is still shows as waiting, you should have one of those permission numbers to get enrolled. And if it doesn't work, let me know and I'll get back to you, or not back to you, but I'll work with you in a class tonight to give you the numbers you need to make sure you're enrolled. So if you're in, that's good. There is a number. So, oh, my wife also, she's a geologist too. And my son is in 2nd grade. His name is Zephyr. And that was a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, when we used to be able to travel down in Palm Springs and we had flash floods down there to go visit some friends. So I'm fascinated by the world around us and I want us to be able to appreciate our greater Central Valley here. So with that in mind, I know that maybe it depends on the class. So some people, everybody will want to have a say, but we do have a large class. But I'm going to show you this picture here. And what I'd like is I'd really love for you to introduce yourself if you feel comfortable doing so and share one thing you notice or wonder about this picture. So usually it's just like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and here's something I notice, and here's something I wonder. If you don't feel comfortable necessarily saying it out loud, you can type it in the chat. That's totally fine as well. But for me, it's hopefully, trying to find a way to put names to faces and things like that, and just get to know and build a community a little bit. So this is a picture I took. I'm also a photographer. Photographer, quote unquote. That's my background. I took all these pictures and stuff too. I like going places and taking photos and use them a lot in classes. So this is a place that is nearby, sort of. All right. Oh, Dallas race. Oh yeah, you guys can do, I forgot. If you want, you can do the raise your hand thingy on Zoom, or you can just raise your hand on your pictures here. It's totally fine, and I'll find it. So Dallas, go ahead. She raised her hand first, and then I'll do Roya afterwards.
Hi, I'm Dallas. One of the things I noticed are the trees, and I'd like to know what kind of trees they are.
All right. And you'll see. I'll probably do a lot of, oh, that's a very interesting type things. I'm trying to get questions here, and I may not have answers for all your questions right away. And just don't be frustrated by that, because we'll circle back around to them, I promise. All right. So Roya, is that correct?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Roya.
Oh, Roya. Okay, sorry.
It's okay. And I was just like, where was this taken? It's a really nice photo.
Oh, thank you.
And from like which angle did you take it? Were you in the water or?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I say. Yeah. So these are great questions. And so I'll answer some of them as we go later on, but I don't want to take anybody else's thunder here. All right. So how about Danielle, I think?
Hi, I'm Danielle. And this picture reminds me of Lake Alpine and just like the upper mountain lakes, which I love. So it's gorgeous.
Excellent. Alpine is a great area. Christine, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Christine. And the one thing I noticed in this picture is the clouds, how in front it's light and in the back it's dark. I want to know why it's like that.
Very interesting. I promise you by the end of this class, you will know. All right, how about Jamie?
Hi, I'm Jamie. One thing that I noticed is that the water looks very clear, and I just think it looks really pretty like that. Thank you.
And nice to meet you. And nice to meet everybody too that said that before. Sometimes my brain doesn't work and I forget to say hi. Jessica, I guess, is next. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jessica. The thing I noticed about this picture is just the coloring. So I was kind of wondering like what time of month, or I'm sorry, what month year it was taken, if it was like summertime or springtime.
All right.
Very
That-
colorful.
That is something to think about. And I will reveal some answers in a bit. Who else would like to say hi or share? Or if you don't want to raise your hand, you can just totally unmute and just pop in and say what you're thinking.
I was thinking the water is clear, but I don't know if that's like algae in the water or the green stuff like by
Oh,
the
and
rock.
is this Lisa? Sorry, I was trying
Yes,
to.
this is Lisa.
Oh, hello.
Hi,
Nice to
how
meet
you
you.
doing?
All right. Oh, so is it algae that makes that color? That is a very interesting question. All right. Thank you.
Is this,
Hi. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I'm Vanessa. I was wondering, is this the Tuolumne River?
It is. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi.
How are you? Excellent. It is the Tuolumne River. So I will answer that one right away.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see here. My chat keeps popping and moving. Oh, when was this picture taken? All right. Excellent. I'll get around to saying that. So who else? Anybody else feeling brave and would like to share and say hello to the rest of the world here?
Can I ask?
Hi, my name's. Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
I already said something, but I'm wondering how moss and algae are made.
Well, we'll get into them a little bit here, but that's more a biology type question. But we will look at some lichens and some mosses and things in terms of carbon capture later on in the semester. So I can give you the basics. I like things, those things tend to get in the way of the rocks, which are the good things, really, right? No. So let's see. Somebody was it Andrea, I think maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
My name's Andrea, and I was just wondering if you have to like take a hike to get to that area, or is it maybe close to like the road?
All right. I will answer that. Awesome. All right. And I see another couple of chats coming in. Thank you so much. And then, I see Jordan has his hand raised.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Jordan. What I noticed is it looks like there either was a storm that cleared out or is coming in, perhaps.
All right. So making conclusions about why, so not asking questions about the colors, but maybe having some background knowledge that means those clouds, or that understands that those clouds mean storms. All right. What causes the river to look so clear? Those are all great questions in the chat. Some folks are asking. All right, let's see here. Am I missing anybody? We'll go kind of once, going twice. And I gotta say too, I'm a parent, I totally understand. So you guys do what you need to do if you're parents, and if you need to eat, you can snack while we're doing this. I understand we're like 4:30 in the evening, so do what you need to do. That's the big thing I'm saying. What kind of camera was I using? I have a D850, a Nikon. It's a digital SLR that takes 48 megapixel images, and that's a low res on this one, but big, it's nice. All right, let's see here. Well, that's all right. If nobody else has another quick little notice and wondering here, we won't necessarily belabor that point. Ooh, somebody asks if this class was in person, would this be a class field trip? Let's see, this time of year, I don't think we'd be able to get there this time of year during the spring semester, but definitely in the fall, we'd be going to a place like this. And if this was non-COVID times, we definitely would be going on a field trip. And I will put this out there right now, which is what I told all my class last semester as well, is that once COVID is over, I think next year we'll probably have some field trips as well for a class. But if you'd like to join, we'll try to keep everybody in contact and on a list. And if you really do want to end up going on a day field trip with us, we'll make it happen. Or if we can't do it through the college, I'll meet everybody up. Usually go to Yosemite or something like that, but I'll meet everybody there and give everybody a field trip for sure. That's one of the things I like doing. spending out time with people and showing them all the cool things that are around us. So that's
Where
out there.
is it located?
Pardon me, I missed that.
Where is this like landscape located? Sorry, I'm not like
So-
I'm familiar with it, but I'm not exactly sure.
I will tell you. So this is the Tuolumne River, and it is in Yosemite. This is, believe it or not, the very start of the Tuolumne River, way up high on Highway 120 near the eastern entrance of Yosemite National Park. And I don't want to give too much away yet because later on in the semester, you guys will be investigating this whole watershed. But I will tell you, if you live in Turlock or Modesto, this is where all of the irrigation water comes from for our crops and things like that. This is where it's born and where it starts. And right now, there'd probably be about 8 feet of snow on top of there after the storms the last couple of days, based on they actually have, how cool of a job is this? Backcountry rangers that live in ski huts back there right now. So they're just out there snowshoeing and cross country and doing like park maintenance and giving weather reports, which, I mean, some people might think sounds awesome. It sounds awesome to me. Some other people might think they're freezing their behinds off. But yeah, 8 feet of snow, pretty crazy there right now. So, and also, this is also the main water supply for the city of San Francisco. So eventually about 230 million gallons of water a day from this river ends up going to San Francisco. And when you turn on the pipes there, that's what you're drinking in San Francisco is water from here. And that clearness, that color that you're seeing, that's one of the reasons why San Francisco likes drinking it. It's very pretty pure and pretty fresh. So we'll talk more about that in detail later on. So thank you for everybody that did share. Don't worry, we're going to be getting into smaller breakout rooms where you'll get to know some folks. So even if there is a little bit of shyness here and there, I hope you'll be willing to say hi to folks and at least have a few little conversations with each other as we move forward, because you're going to be trying to see what everybody thinks. All right, so let's see here. I can minimize some of your faces so I can see things. Let's see, there we go. So some important stuff you need to know. Basically, the syllabus is all on Canvas. I think I sent out the link for everybody to show you like kind of the little introductory video. Basically, everything that you need to know, I'll just show you. Gosh darn it, is going to be on Canvas here. The thing I prefer to use is the modules link, and I'll put it in student view here. So come on, there we go. So this is what it'll look like for this week. When you go into Canvas, just click on the modules, and the slides for tonight are right here. So you'll have access to all of those that you can look at and come back to. You'll have what I'll tell you about in a second, which are called sketch notes. All the templates, everything you need will be right here for you at your beck and call. All right. So what is this class? And I've already kind of showed you a few things, but and I'm just going to say, like I said, most every single picture you see in this class, these are places that I've been, and these are my pictures. And it's a good excuse to have a good camera, to take pictures and share it with the world. So that's, if you see these, it's not from a textbook. These are actually places that are meaningful to me for one reason or another. So it's designed to be an active collaboration and exploration of how our amazing planet functions. There'll be, some modifications for distance learning, but really, sorry, shared office here. The emphasis here is going to be on place-based and local examples. So we'll learn a lot about local things. Sometimes we'll spread out to go to kind of national or worldwide similarities, but for the most part, you guys are going to be walking out of this classroom, and many of you are going to be teaching our students here in our valley. It behooves us to have an understanding of how that works. So when you're in the classroom, or you have friends that you need to talk to about certain water quality issues or air quality issues, you'll be able to do that based on knowledge that's here. So it'll also highlight the application of the societal value of geosciences. So there's going to be so many jobs in the geoscience fields, whether it be, petroleum and those type of industries are kind of on the decline. But there's lots of also emphasis on environmental geoscience. So water quality, air quality, restoration of different environments to help keep our water good, and then environmental justice for our communities so that folks, aren't suffering some of the harms of pollution and things like that. So we'll talk about the societal value of science a little bit in this class as we move on as well. And then hopefully one of the things too, every once in a while, I'll put on a little teacher hat and explain some of the teaching moves that I've been doing so that if you do want to become a teacher, you're like, oh, that's why we were doing this. So everything has a reason and a plan that we do in this class. And I'll step aside and mention those every once in a while. I know it's not like a teaching credential class or anything like that. So that's why we don't spend too much time, but I just would like everybody to have a few tricks in their pocket when they leave, just in case they do want to be a teacher. So kind of here's the weekly topics. Oh yeah, that last picture, by the way, that was McGee Creek Canyon on the east side of the Sierras. This is Soda Lake. That was 2 years ago when they had a really big wildflower bloom over there. The San Andreas Fault runs at the bottom of those mountains. And then this is a very salty, muddy, alkali lake in the foreground. But our weekly topics here, basically tonight, we're going to kind of do that intro to nature of science type thing. And then you can see where we'll be headed. Next week, we'll be talking about geologic time and trying to get a sense of scale and, understand our place in the universe and our place in time here. And it's really interesting to think like a geologist, to think in these long, big time frames is a little bit mind-bending for some folks. So we'll walk you through it and we'll have fun doing it at the same time. But as you can see, I think April 9th, there's no class. That's our spring break area. Go have fun. I don't assign homework over the big breaks like that or anything. So the idea here is to mostly get everything we need to do done in class, and then your sketch notes, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Oh, you'll notice one big thing. You don't notice any tests on here, and that's because there are no tests. Everything that we're going to be doing grade-wise for your grades has to do with kind of some sketch notes and these kind of extension questions I'll be asking you that you'll have a week to kind of complete. So really, it's cool because I'll give you a template. I'll give you kind of an outline of things to do, but it gives you creativity and the ability to answer them how you need to without feeling the stresses and pressures of tests. Who needs a test during a pandemic, right? And I can use better teaching techniques to understand what you guys know that is not multiple choice. So hopefully what you'll see is when you walk away from this class, we may not cover quite as much information of some of the other classes, but the things we cover, you'll know much more deeply and you'll understand it much better and you'll remember it. So what's the point of learning a whole bunch of stuff that you have to cram for that you're not going to necessarily remember when we can apply it to something? So that's what we're going to be trying to do. And I mean, some of the questions will make you think. There may not necessarily be a right or a wrong answer. It might be asking you to apply concepts. And as long as you do that in a sound and reasonable way, like it makes sense, you can support claims with evidence and things. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So our class sketch notes, that's the big part of the grade. Kind of some of those extension questions, which will probably start next week with more of the content, will be about 15% of the grade. And then the class lab activities. This is kind of the stuff we're doing in class. You'll see there's some of them are kind of not for points. Some of them are for a few points when it's a bigger type deal. And if you ever miss a class, that's totally fine. We record these lessons. You can go back and hop on. You may not necessarily have the luxury of being able to be in a group when you like make up a few of those things, but they're not super taxing. They're interesting. And, I don't think it's going to be too much of a work to catch up if you happen to miss a class or something like that. And then the final is you're going to be creating your own virtual field trip using Google Earth, and I'll teach you how to do that. And this semester, we'll kind of have a few more checkpoints. Last semester was the first time I did it. And I think we'll kind of give you guys a little bit more time to start and a little bit more feedback as we go along so that the finished product is even more awesome. And the other class did amazing and awesome as well too, but we'll fix that. And as you can see, the attendance is highly recommended. It's not required. I still had about 98% attendance, 95 to 98% attendance last semester. So please be here. This is what the class functions on, but I'm not going to hold it against you if you can't be here. I know life is life, right? And life happens. Let me see here. Somebody had their hand raised. Let me get, I got to get my participants bar up. There we go. Danielle, did you have your hand raised or a question? Or no?
No, I think that was from the intro.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I saw somebody pop one on or off or something. No worries. All right. Thanks. So those assignments, what will those assignments kind of look like? Those sketch notes? Oh, wait. Oh, somebody has a question. Roya. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask if attendance points are like a big deal towards our grade, because I remember one class I couldn't really attend and like.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing. I am not grading attendance but here's the deal. Everything is being recorded. So if you miss a class, you can always come back and make up like the sketch notes. So you'll see, I'll show you in a second here. Every week, I'll give you kind of a template of the things I want you guys to address in your notes, what I want you to show you've learned and things like that. And then if you get that done by the end of each week, that's fine. And that's what we're looking for. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So these class assignments, like I was showing, collaborative, synchronous lab activities is what I call them, because they're not really labs, they're kind of activities. We'll do individual and collaborative modeling, not like walking down the runway or anything, but I mean like science models. So we'll write and sketch and draw our ideas and try to figure out how things work and, you know, give ideas about that. That's the type of modeling I'm talking about, sketches and drawings. Or maybe you build a little something here or there to see how it works. Small group, whole group. So basically you'll see in just a few minutes, you're going to be going into small groups, having conversations, figuring it all out, and then we'll come back and share some of those ideas out from those small groups with the whole class. Those sketch notes, those are the things that are going to show me what you know. And then every once in a while, we'll have, I'm not going to do quizzes. I forgot to take that out. That's the one modification I needed to make. But there will be sometimes, not every class, but sometimes a few after class readings that I'll link to. And it's all free, either open source articles or open source textbooks. So there's no textbook you have to buy or anything like that. But all the readings come after the class. There's no pre-reading because I want everybody to come in with their own background knowledge as their source of information and to drive the learning. And then we'll use the readings to reinforce that learning at the end, I hope. So that's the big question there. And this is in the syllabus too, but I just want to show you, hey, I know there's a pandemic. If, you know, basically the only thing that you need to do if you're having trouble, I'm not going to judge you or think less of you. You know, we all have our ups and downs. Who knows what we're dealing with at home right now. So I'll extend that grace to you. I hope you can extend that grace to me a little bit here and there. But you never owe me any personal information about your health or anything else. If you need to miss a class, sometimes it helps to say, hey, I can't be here. That's totally fine. But you're always welcome to me. If you do want to talk about it, you can either email or my office hours are after classes on Fridays, or if you need to, we can schedule a different appointment, you know, usually after 3:30 or 4 or so like that during the rest of the week, because I have my day job. But if I can't help you, I'll do my best to find somebody that can. And I'm still learning the ins and outs of Stan State. It's my 3rd semester here, but you know, I'm just kind of in my own little world with the one class that I teach. So I'll try to find the things that will work for you. I may not know the answer right away though. And, you know, just ask. If you need extra help, let me know. I'll work with you. Okay. So those are the big things. And I hope it lowers the stress for you. And I hope it makes it a little bit more fun as well. So I already talked about the reading. Talked about the occasional reinforcement activities. At the end, here's what that virtual field trip might kind of look like. But basically, you're going to make an engaging and kind of academically rigorous earth science virtual field trip for like a class of 6th graders or something like that. So I'm going to show you everything you need to know how to make these, some techniques behind it, some questioning ideas and things like that. So it'll be pretty cool. And then for our final, the last class of the semester, we're going to be sharing these as like a lightning talk that you would present at maybe a conference or something. So like when I say lightning talk, 2 or 3 minutes. You can either do a self video recording or you can do a live in person one. And then we talk about lots of cool things and share it with everybody and see all the amazing places that you guys are taking folks to learn about. So I think it'll be pretty cool. So how about this? Let me see, where are we at here? We're at 5:04. We went through a little bit because not as many folks shared. So I'll take a quick temperature of the room. Would y'all like me to move on with kind of the first part of our activity, or would you like a quick little break right now? It's up to you guys. So what's the vote? Move on, take a break, it's up to you.
Move on.
All right, move on, move on.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move one and I'll move on. So, alrighty. So here we go. And by the way, that picture is near the summit of Mount Whitney, which is the tallest mountain in California, which is pretty cool. If you ever get a chance to go there. I'm a mountain person, by the way. Some folks are ocean people. It's okay. I like the mountains. Okay, so here's what we're about to embark upon. We're about to embark upon a kind of a whole group discussion, and you're going to be put into random breakout rooms with probably people you have no idea who they are. So the first part of that random breakout room later on is going to be like, just introduce yourself, say hi, you know, maybe quick something about you, maybe whatever major you're at, or something that's positive that's happened to you this year, or something you're looking forward to happening. Doesn't even have to be positive, just anything you'd like to share, I guess. But the reason we do these whole group discussions here is that teachers and students learn challenging science and skills by doing these things. So by examining evidence. So instead of me telling you, here's the evidence, if I give you some things to look at and you guys kind of puzzle through it and come up with your own ideas, that develops learning. And working collaboratively to kind of make sense of these experiences, that develops learning. By deeply exploring your own understandings and misunderstandings, that also develops learning. And then here's the other big thing, is to kind of collaboratively make sense of the science that we're going to be talking about. We need to listen to each other's interpretations and be able to ask questions of one another. So like, why did you think that? Or I understand this, here's my idea. You know, what do you think about this? So that's how science works in real life. Science is about people collaborating with one another. There's very few scientists that actually are on their own, doing their own thing, publishing papers that don't have a list of collaborators with them. So that's what we're going to be trying to mimic, is that collaborative process. And then I'm going to be there to try to help surface your ideas and questions, and maybe help you articulate what you think and try to wrestle with your confusion and your uncertainty. So that's why we're doing it. So, all right, cleanse your palates, crack your knuckles, do all that stuff, do whatever you need to here. Crack your neck if you need to, I guess. So I always like starting this class, and I'm actually going to take a quick drink of water. All right. So I like to start this class by talking about the nature of science. I'm not going to tell you why I like talking about the nature of science, because that's something I hope we're going to come to and develop over the course of these activities that you're about to do. But I'm going to read you just a quick little paragraph here from Michael Crichton, the author of Jurassic Park and the Lost World and things like that. And it has a little bit of a geological and fossil record importance. And what's also kind of interesting is these kind of duck-billed dinosaurs right over here, these types of dinosaurs. They are actually the types of dinosaurs that were first found in Stanislaus County, fossils of them, back in the 1920s over in Del Porto Canyon, right outside of Patterson. So the very first dinosaur fossils ever found in California were these types of kind of duck-billed dinosaurs, which are cool. So I want you to think about this. Here's this quote. It says, when you think about it, the fossil record is like a series of photographs, kind of frozen moments from what is really a moving, ongoing reality. So looking at the fossil record is like thumbing through a family photo album. You know that the album isn't complete. You know life happens in between, and you only have the pictures, or it's like scanning through your phone, right? You see, oh, remember all those pictures, those moments, those are great. So you study them and you study them. And pretty soon you begin to think of the album as not a series of moments, but as reality itself. So think about in your own iPhones or cell phones, all the pictures you have. Somebody went through those and looked at them, they could probably tell a decent story of what your life might have been like, or what your life has been like up through that point, or how you ended up getting those pictures. And science is very much the same way. If we think of evidence as like your photos, we can piece things together that tell a pretty likely scenario based on that evidence that's there. So here's what we're gonna do. All right. So you are going to be placed in just a moment. I'll give you a link in the chat in just a moment here, but we're going to be placed into random breakout groups of 3 or 4 here. And I got probably 3. Ideally 3 is the best as a teacher. I just want you to know that scientific literature says groups of 3 is where things happen really well, but we might make exceptions for 4 here. So once in your breakout room, you're going to open this tool called a Jamboard. And so before I put the link in there, let me show you what a Jamboard is. Some of you may, there we go. Some of you may have used Jamboards before. Maybe some of you have not. But it's a really simple little, what we call like an interactive whiteboard. And there's a couple of things on it. There's a pen tool that if you click on the pen, you can choose different sizes and highlighters, and there's like 5 or 6 colors to choose from. If you wanted to, you can draw, but you don't have to. There's also an eraser, and you can use that eraser to squiggle and erase all your things. And then this is the pointer. This is what allows you to click and drag and drop. But what's really interesting about Jamboard is you can also add like little sticky notes, like Post-it notes. If you click on this little icon over there, it'll give you a sticky note and you can type things in there and you hit save and it adds it right to the Jamboard and you can then move it around just like a sticky note, which is pretty cool. If you want to delete it, you just press delete. So those are the kind of the big ones that we're going to be using tonight. You can also add text boxes or shapes. If you wanted to add a shape, you can add a shape and fill in those colors. And you can add images to there as well. But tonight we don't need to do any of that. Tonight, all you need to be able to do is when I put you in a breakout room, find your breakout room number. And then on here, you're going to go to the Jamboard and there's 13 identical different slides. And you can thumb through them either by opening the drop down at the top, or you can use these arrows right here. And you'll notice at the top of each one, it says breakout group 5, breakout group 6, whatever. So everybody's going to be on their own Jamboard. Once you get to your room, do me a favor, don't look at anybody else's while you're doing your own. All right. We want you to stay on your own. That's what we're looking for. And you have these funny little kind of, it's a mashup of Little Red Riding Hood and the 3 Little Pigs story pictures right here. The first thing you'll need to do is you can just double click on the note if you want to edit it and put your group member names right there. And then you hit save. And then what you're going to do, and I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Oops, keep going to the wrong one. What you're going to do, not share, present, is you're going to open that Jamboard link. You're going to go to the Jamboard, and then as a group, you're going to put the cards in the appropriate storyline order. All right, or what you believe to be is the appropriate storyline order. Now, I just want to say this, your grade and life does not depend on this being the right story order. All right, your grade is kind of trying to figure out what you think the right story order is based on this evidence. So after you put it in order, you guys are going to introduce yourselves, take some time, crunch out where you think things go. You figure out a way of how you want to organize it and order it and the direction of how things flow. If you want to add images, or not images, but if you want to add like arrows to show which directions it goes, that's totally fine. But then once you're done and you have it in order, you need to use 3 pieces of evidence, which is data, and 2 pieces of your prior knowledge to explain how you chose the order that you did. So for example, I'm going to go back here. Your evidence, if you want to add a new sticky note, you just go over here, click on sticky note, click on green, and then you can type in evidence. So what pieces of evidence or clues in those pictures said one picture came before the other or one came after the other? Why did you do that? So you're going to be writing your pieces of evidence right down there. All right, that's the first part. So you want at least 3 pieces of evidence or reasons of why you did that. And then on the orange sticky notes, you're going to do at least 2 different things that you had prior knowledge about. So maybe you have read these stories before, or maybe you have knowledge about how giant mice traps work or something like that. So what are some other pieces of information that you're bringing to the story that you have inferences from that may not necessarily be in the picture themselves? All right. So too many tabs open. So after you're done, I think I'm going to give you everybody about 20 minutes here. So that'll give us enough time to introduce ourselves, figure out which order they go in. Everybody is going to be able to drag and drop at the same time and move around and be collaborative on the same slide. My thing here is I'm going to probably pop in on the rooms, but with my camera off, and that's just me kind of listening, or maybe I'll turn it on, but usually later on I'll turn it off just so I can pop in and see what's happening. And I might say hi as well or something like that. All right. So don't mind me really if I pop in. So let me get this, copy this, and then let me put it in the chat, and it's in Canvas as well, but I think the chat's the easiest place to put it on. All right, so do me a quick favor and try clicking that and see if you can open this Jamboard up first. And I see people coming on. All right, we got like 15, 20. All right, we're doing good. So now I'm going to send you out into some random breakout rooms here. And once you find your random breakout room number, go to that slide with your breakout group, put your group members' names on there, introduce each other, and have some fun. So in about 20 minutes, so in 20 minutes, we'll come back and then we'll talk about all this interesting things. We'll probably take a quick break first, and then we'll talk about some things. Okay, anybody need any help with this part before I kick everybody out and go to breakout rooms?
I'm trying to click on the link, but for some weird reason, it's not allowing me to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't.
Let's try that again. Are you trying to go through Canvas or through this chat?
Through the chat.
Hmm.
I don't know if I just clicked the link, right?
Yep, you should just click it and it should open it right up.
Yeah, I wonder if it's my computer, maybe.
Okay, so that's a great thing. So this is good to know. If for some reason you can't get on a link, once you get into the breakout rooms, I'll enable the screen share so you guys can share a screen with each other, so everybody can see a Jamboard or something if you don't have the ability to look at it. Okay.
Okay.
But thanks for letting me know.
Okay, thank you.
So here we go. I'm gonna let me do my shares here. Oops, so I'm gonna stop my share and then I'm gonna put you into breakout rooms. I think I need to advanced sharing options, multiple participants, one participant, all participants. Let's see here. Okay, so there we go. And remember, if somebody else wants to share your screen in your group, the first person has to stop sharing before that happens. And if you've never shared before, it's the green button down in the middle of your Zoom. It's got an arrow, up arrow on it, and that's where you can share your screen. So here we go. I'm going to create, let's see, how many of us are there? 34. Holy moly. Okay, so I'm doing my, so 11, 10, I'll do 9. I'll do 9 groups, and that way we'll do groups of 4, and then you can introduce yourselves to each other, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay. So here we go. It's going to be automatic. I have no idea who you're going to be matched up. It's so exciting, isn't it? All right, here we go. And oops, we don't want 32 minutes. We'll do 20 minutes here, and then we'll go for there. All righty, here we go.
And he would it be when he goes in through that window? Because doesn't he like go with the old lady or something?
Which one?
The one where the wolf is inside the window or inside the house.
Stomping on something or?
Yeah.
The one stopping on the flowers, or the one dressed up as a
Yeah.
girl?
No, stomping on the flowers.
I believe so, yeah.
You guys are on the third slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wrote the names on there and then someone erased it and put like a random name on there and I was like, I think I'm
Oh,
on the
really? It
yeah,
might be somebody in group 4 on the wrong, or in group 3 on the wrong page.
yeah, they put like LV in or something like that.
Oh, I don't see
Time to
that.
go to war with group 3, huh?
I don't.
All right. And don't forget, if you guys want to share screens, sometimes that's a strategy that works out all right. If not, that's totally fine too. So.
We just put our first names or our last names too.
Yeah, first name and last initial would be okay.
Okay.
Until I get to, I mean, I can find. There's only 35 of you, but yeah. All right. Well, have fun. Welcome to class.
Thank you. Where
Were
did
you
that?
sure? I can do the names.
Okay, I put my name in there.
Wait, are these are two stories, right? Because the little piggies.
One.
I think it's a mashup between the two stories.
Right? Because I don't remember piggies being in the
Little Red Riding Hood. Me neither.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I just want to say hello, everybody, and thank you for being here this Friday night. And I'm glad your minds are being blown by mashups here. So keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And kids, including this girl.
Hi, everybody. You guys are doing good. I just want to say hi and thanks for being here on a Friday night and keep up the good work here. So.
Hi, Professor. We're kind of confused.
Oh, okay. So can I help you then?
Yeah, so like, I don't know. We're just trying to figure it out. And like, I don't know if we've gotten it right so far with the top 3, but we weren't even sure.
So
Because
yeah. This is kind of part of the process here. So you can remember A, these feelings that you're having now, and B, it's up to you. You guys are the ones that are trying to figure out what's right based on evidence. So you guys can try to find some pictures. And I would say, don't overthink it. I mean, if you think it looks good, or somebody says, "Oh, I think it should be somewhere over here," that's kind of the discussions we're looking for. So the order is the order that you put them in. That's the right order for right now. Okay.
So we're making the story up.
You're making a story out of this. Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good. I'm gonna hop around here, but yeah, I hope that helped a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Let me see. Thank you.
And they end up at the grandma's house, and that's why they see her. And then maybe they recognize her because, well, obviously the wolf had to get her in order to like take her place.
Yeah.
So maybe they recognize her when they're like, I don't know, going back or something.
Oh, so like the wolf kidnapped the grandma and the pigs found her, and that's
Yeah,
why
almost
they're in
like-
her house.
Yeah, and then maybe that's why the grandma's pushing one of them in, like to see like who's in her house.
Mm-hmm.
The pigs got grandma. Maybe he's like, well, I'm going to jump in grandma's bed. I don't know. First, I got to step in these flowers. Something, I don't know.
Oh wait, is she throwing him in the house here? Throwing him into the house.
But I think
In.
grandma's throwing him out because isn't this the same one as this picture here on the table? So maybe she's noticing that he's there. He's like, I can't be eating with us, so I'm gonna throw you out. I don't know.
I just want to say hi, everybody, and thanks for being here on a Friday night and piggy conspiracy theories here. So, all right, I'm gonna move to a different one. You guys are doing great.
Thank you.
What is the cage for?
It's obviously for a WWF match. I just want to, hi, everybody. Thanks for being here on a Friday night. But these are the good questions. These are the questions of the world right now, right? What is that cage for? Y'all are doing good.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say hi. All right, let me see.
Little Red, and then he saw the little pigs and then told the little pigs to go befriend Little Red.
So you think this picture goes after this picture?
Maybe.
I'm thinking like, oh, they saw her and we're just like talking to her?
I think the wolf has a crush on Little Red because of how he looks at her. And so he doesn't want to scare her. So that's why he wants the grandma.
Very interesting hypotheses. Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here on a Friday night. So I hope you're having fun. It looks like you're having some good conversations here, and these are the types of things we're looking for. So once you think you got a good order down, then you can start putting your kind of what you used for evidence and what you used for like background knowledge and inferences and things like that. So good job. Let's see, you guys are 8. Okay, 9.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then this one would probably go up here.
Yes. So then I'm trying to think of the wolf with the flowers. Where would he go?
The wolf with the flowers?
Like in front of the window?
Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay. Yeah, so maybe, so these two go together. And
I just want to say hi, everybody. Happy Friday night, and thank you for being here. And you're doing a great job and having good conversations. So
thank you.
So I would say maybe take 3 or 4 more minutes to kind of get your story solidified, and then what pieces of evidence did you use to put them in that order? That's kind of those green sticky notes, and then the orange sticky notes for maybe previous knowledge that you had about it as well. So you're doing great. I'll stay out of your hair, but have fun.
Thank you, Professor.
okay. So 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta hurry up.
So do we know how the first part goes?
Mm-hmm. You think it's before these appear?
There we go. My mouse button got a little sticky and wasn't unmuting. Sorry. So you guys were doing awesome. This is great. The conversations were amazing. So the next little part here, a few folks still needed to add some evidence. And basically, you can do that any way you need to with that green sticky note. So you can add a new sticky note. And then some folks are organizing and putting them down at the bottom. Some folks are taking the sticky notes and dragging them wherever the evidence is, putting it next to that. So you can do that. And then I just wanted to clarify those prior knowledges is, if you look at the pink ones over here, it says the prior use of knowledge that your group used to formulate the story's order. So, you know, what did you know about these stories going in, or maybe you didn't know anything? That's what we're looking for, just a couple pieces of prior knowledge. And so here's the goal. I'm going to put you all in breakout rooms for like 9 more minutes. And then within that 9 minutes, you guys can get that information in there and then take a quick break. I'll make it 10. And then take a quick break, go stretch your legs, and then we'll come back and debrief. I'll show you a few other things, and then maybe we'll be able to get done even just a smidge early tonight too, if we can do it like that. So I'm going to pop everybody in for another 10 minutes, get your data and your prior knowledge little thingies on there. And then once that's done, go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back together once these breakout rooms end. Sound good? Okay, so I'm going to open them all up, and you guys can go find your friends again. All right. Welcome back. Awesome job. It's really cool. I've had the pleasure of skipping back and forth and seeing what everybody's doing on the jam boards, which is pretty fun and interesting. And I got to hear some of your conversations that were really great. A few conspiracy theories about Red Riding Hood and the piggies and the wolf, which is pretty funny as well. So good job on that, everybody. So there is a reason, there is a purpose to putting together Little Red Riding Hood and stuff like that. So here's the next little bit. I showed you on the Jamboard, so you know how to scroll back and forth now between those different slides. But I'm going to put you back in your small groups here, and we're going to take the next 10 minutes or so to review at least 3 other group storylines that they made. All right. And so you can do that by using that little frame advance arrow. Where's my pointer? That little frame advance arrow that's in the top of Jamboard, just like you guys did earlier. I usually find when we do the group discussions like this, the small group discussions on a single thing, it sometimes is more useful to have folks share a screen within your group. You don't have to, but that's just kind of one tip that you might want to take into account. So the big thing is don't edit their Jamboard, don't move it around. You can look at it, but if you accidentally click and move something, just put it back. So go ahead and peruse what they've done. And I want you to think about this as a group. So what are some things that you notice about their storylines? What are some things that you wonder about their storylines? And I want you to make a mental note of these ideas, because we're going to be kind of coming back and we'll share some of these ideas as a whole group. And then some of these will lead into the last little bit, a small, quick little reading, and then trying to make sense of why we did what we just did and what in the heck it has to do with this class. So you'll get in the same groups, same random groups. Go check 3 people's out at least. You can do more if you want. You can check all of them out if you're speed clickers. So what do you notice? What do you wonder? Similarities, differences, things like that. All right. Anybody have any questions before I get going? You can unmute yourself because I can't see all 35 of you at the same time. I only have one computer right now. All right. So I'm going to open up. I'm going to put you all back. I hope you guys are enjoying each other's company, because you get to play with them again. And don't worry, we'll definitely be using other ones later on too. So.
be right, right?
But
'Cause
why would grandma push the pig in there knowing the
yeah, and then they're looking at that map thing on the table too, so I feel like it's not as happy an ending.
Yeah. Want to go to the next one?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So maybe
In the story, I think the grandma confuses the little girl for the wolf because then the wolf lets himself in. It says, poor Granny did not have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. What? Okay.
So they kind of thought it was a map like we did.
Yeah.
Her cookies are almost gone.
So you guys noticing similarities and differences, or did everybody do it the same?
No, very
Group
different.
is kind of similar, like the beginning,
Uh-huh.
but so far we've only got to 2 groups.
All right. Well, I wonder if you'll find one that looks similar. All right, thanks.
This one's pretty similar to.
To the grandma, like the grandma's out there. It says the grandma through the pig set up a plan to capture the wolf, but like grandma's literally there on the tree tied up. And the capture thing is like in the door.
They probably snatched her and wanted to snatch the wolf. Excuse me, sorry.
The trap was meant for the wolf to come through the front door, not through the window.
Mm-hmm.
So what would our question be? What are we wondering? My main question is like if they had a plan to capture the wolf, why did they capture the grandma? Like that, you know?
Oh, well, they were trying to warn the grandma.
And it's like, why is she tied up in the back, you know?
So they're hiding her?
You're right. I think she goes and takes cookies to her grandma who's sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had forgotten that. And then I don't think he actually eats the grandma, right? I think he just like.
I don't know. Maybe in like the really old like fairy tale one, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many different.
Professor, sorry, my internet got cut off.
Oh, that's totally fine. What group were you in?
I was in group 7.
Okay, I'll put you right back.
Thank you.
Give me one quick second. All right, see you later. All right. So, excuse me, excellent discussions for the folks that I was able to drop in on here. Who's ready to fight to say that their story is the more right? Anybody? No? All right. So hopefully here's the kind of open forum right now as a whole group where we can kind of learn from each other and share some ideas. Let me get this bigger screen here. Let me make you guys bigger so I can see all of y'all. Sorry, give me a second. So what are some of those things that you noticed and wondered about similarities or differences? And then you can also, if you also have an idea, what might be the purpose of this exercise be? How does it relate to science, and especially maybe the geosciences or just life in general? So you can be as specific or not as specific as you need to, but go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand on this part. If you'd like, we'll just try not to talk over each other, but you can unmute and just chime in. And what did you notice? What did you wonder? Everybody wants to hear your opinions. So at least, you know, several people would be great. Not at the same time though.
So I could go first.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So kind of what I seen in different groups was like we all had a different beginning, because our thought process in group number 3 was that they're baking cookies at first, and then she goes off walking, you know, stuff like that. And then others was more like she already maybe had cookies on her. There was others saying like there was another part of the trap, like the grandma was lured into the trap of the pig, and ours was more like the grandma seen the pigs at the window, and then obviously they trapped her like that because then she checked, you know, she went outside like, who are these people outside my house? And so it was just different in the beginning, middle to end, how everybody's was different.
So was yours more right?
I kind of feel like it was because in the beginning they're baking the cookies. She goes off to the woods and like she has a full basket of cookies. And as the story goes on, her basket starts to get empty because, you know, those pigs starts to take it. And then, you know, then all the chaos starts to happen like with the grandma towards the end and stuff like that. And so I believe number 3 is right.
Well, and you have some evidence to support that based on those cookie claims. So that's your evidence, and that's how you're interpreting it. Thank you. Who has some other ideas they'd like to share, or notices or wonders, or how this works in real life or relates in real life?
So I noticed that when we were looking through, like some groups thought the wolf was just the bad guy. And then in our group, we thought it was like both the pigs and the wolf. They were kind of both bad. And so
that's a big twist in the story.
Yeah, we don't know which one's right or wrong. We all used like, it looked like we had different reasons. Yeah.
Interesting. So maybe perhaps some prior knowledge and background inferences maybe shaded your expectations of the characters, maybe, you know, maybe that kind of gave you a preconceived idea of if they were good or bad, and maybe we don't know the real answer. But thank you, that's an interesting idea. All right, so how about some other shares, or does anybody want to try to tackle what this might relate to in real life or even the geosciences? I want to try to make it, and let me just say, remember, there's no wrong answers for nobody's going to get penalized for saying anything. We're just trying to share ideas. If you feel more comfortable chatting it, you can chat it. That's totally fine as well. Somebody asks, is there a correct order to the story? So that's their wonder.
Will you tell us the correct order of it?
Well, so let me ask you this. Do you think there was a correct order?
Yes. I don't know. Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. If there's 9 different groups and they came up with 9 different orders, is there a correct order if everybody has this
Yes, because these are like just snapshots of a moment in time. It's not like we don't know, we can only guess what order they came in by the different things that we see in each picture, but it did happen at some point. So it has to have had a correct order for it to have happened. And we can only guess to see like what we think that order is just based off of the information we have. But please tell us the right answer, because
Very interesting.
it's going to drive us crazy.
Well, that's kind of the great part about this class, and so it really leads into somebody has a private chat here. It says they believe the main idea of the task was to realize how everybody has a different perspective and how we should be open-minded and try to see where they are coming from. So each one of your groups used different pieces of evidence that you keyed in on to make the orders that you did. And every group that I've heard talking, especially when you're questioning the other groups, I heard, well, they used this evidence. Why did they do that? We did this. So you're all using evidence and interpreting it a little bit differently, but still creating a very plausible solution, right? So, and then another person says, everyone has a different perspective and we all interpret things differently, even if things happened a certain way. So that is kind of the goal and the point here. And this is the scientific method, right? We get lots of evidence and lots of folks have different interpretations based on the different ideas leveled out. Now, here's the difference. If I said we could not go anywhere until 10 o'clock this evening, we're going to stay in class until 10. Do you think we could, as a group of 35 people, we're not doing that, but hypothetical. If I made you guys do that, do you think we'd be able to hash out by sharing all of your ideas and your evidence an order that you think would most work as a group? Would that be possible?
Yeah, because then you could get the perspective of other people. Like somebody noticed the flowers and I didn't even notice the flowers. So everyone can like provide their input and notice different things and see things a different way that I think everyone could like start to understand and slowly agree on.
And so what's it called when a big group comes to a kind of a general agreement? There's a C word for that.
Consensus.
Yeah, consensus. And so basically this is what science is. Science is consensus, right? And everybody hashes out their ideas. They have their own background information, and then they can come to a consensus, and hopefully it can come in a unbiased fashion where every voice is heard and weighed equally, and every piece of data is weighed equally. And if that data maybe seems nonsensical to somebody else, perhaps they just haven't thought about it in the same way, and they might come to a new enlightenment. Or maybe the group comes to a consensus and says, we see your point, but we all think it's kind of leading this one direction, even though you still think it's like that. This is what the group is going to try to do respectfully. And that's exactly how science works. And what I really hope, and that some folks have seen already, is that we all have different backgrounds and different perspectives. And so before we can dismiss ideas right out of hand, right, we have to look at the evidence, we have to evaluate their evidence and interpret it. And then, if we find issues with it, we can put it off to the side and say, here's where it was wrong, and move on forward with our lives. But y'all did excellent. And that is the point. And there is, I can tell you, there is no right answer. All of these were a mashup for being a mashup reason. And the right answer is the reasons that you came up with, the answer that you came up with. That is the right answer. And we might be able to come up with one as a class if we were to stay till 10 o'clock. And I guarantee you our consensus in that class would probably be different than a consensus if we did it with another group of 35 people. So that's kind of the idea, is everybody has a different view, a different voice. And if we can respect those, we might just learn something new, and we might come to a unique consensus that is appropriate for everyone. So that's kind of where this was leading. And instead of using just scientific data, which can be boring, I hope, well, not boring, but this gave you an idea where everybody most likely has heard the story of, so here's my teacher hat moment, the story of, you know, the Little Red Riding Hood or the Three Little Pigs. So you had some background knowledge to argue with and have evidence from. And when I say argue, I'm not talking about arguing like you're in a fight argument. It's having discussions based on evidence, kind of the back and forth of reasons why you agree or disagree. That's what I mean by arguing. And as a teacher, and as you go forward with stuff, you always want to try to provide things where students have some background and can contribute to a conversation. And I think this does a pretty good job based on what I was hearing in all of your small groups, where everybody had something to contribute, and hopefully everybody felt a little valued and listened to. And, you know, perhaps if you didn't feel like your ideas were listened to 100% this time, you know, as we move forward, we can see if it happens again with different classmates and different random groupings. And we can talk about strategies for people to become better listeners if it becomes something that is a problem. But usually it's not. And I don't think there's going to be any problems based on what I heard tonight. Y'all did really awesome. So here, I got a couple of other things. I'm going to take just a quick little break, not a break, but a sidestep here to show you your next kind of task. And so your semester sketch notes are basically the things that you're going to do to write down and jot down your ideas at the end of the class for the night. And I don't know if this is the right link, but basically in Canvas, you'll see down in your modules here, where'd it go? Create your sketch notebook. And if you click on this link, it'll take you to kind of the instructions of what to do. But if you click on this link, it'll force a copy open of Google Slides into your own Google Drive. And then all you need to do is just rename it with your name and then the Spring21 Geology 240. And once you do that, you don't have to send me an email or anything like that. All you need to do is once your deck is copied. So how about, I'll just show you. So it opens up like this. You click make copy. Maybe. All right. And the instructions are on this introductory slide too. You can delete this slide when it's all gone, but just type in your name, all that good stuff. And then where it says share, go up in the right-hand corner and click, if you didn't see that, up in the right-hand corner, click share. And then just type in my email address down there, which is ryhollister@sbcglobal.net. Don't use the Stan State one. That I don't have a Google account through them. So all you have to do is just share this link with me. And then every week as we go on, you're just going to be adding a new slide to this where you can either take a picture of the things that you need to do and paste it in, or some folks have been using digital ink to draw. But basically, I can just come in and I'm making a list and I'll be able to open up your sketch notes every week, and you don't have to email me or do anything like that. They're just there, which is pretty cool. It's easy peasy. All right. So in these sketch notes, basically, you'll see that there's some instructions on the second page, but it's at the end of each class, you're going to be expected to turn in some jotted notes that are more of a clean version. So if you've been writing notes, that's totally fine. You can do that, but there's kind of like a clean version that you can take a picture of at the end. So what I prefer is hand-drawn or digitally drawn stuff. You can type in things if you need to type in things at a later date, but my goal here is for you to be able to create a notebook that has big pictures and explains things. It's kind of like an infographic, so that after you graduate, you can actually go back to this and look at the pictures and go, oh, that's what we were talking about. Because I guarantee you, most of the stuff we talk about in this class, it'll be relevant to your life and you're going to want to figure out how to do it again in the future, or maybe to help explain things, or maybe you have a class and you want to go back and look at a concept. You'll be able to have this digital notebook here to help jog your memory. So the idea here is you'll take a photo of your notes and stick them in the slide deck, or copy and paste your other ones if you need to. But just as in our sorry, brain fart, just as in the ordering of the different things that we were doing earlier with the Little Red Riding Hood and the story, everyone's different and has a different way of believing what things should look like. So these sketch notes are a little bit up to you. I'll provide a template of different ideas and things that you should kind of cover, and I'll go over these in just a second, but it's up to you to put them in an order that you want. And the only thing that you have to add that I'm really looking for is that they need to have colors, they need to have pictures, and they need to have text that explain things. So I'm not looking for essays or anything like that. I'm just looking kind of for pictures and sketches. And if you're not the best artist, you can write a little bit more if you need to. But the idea here is just to jot these things down so you can look at them and remember what we're talking about moving on in the future. So once you fill in your name, send that to me. Send this with me. You'll have until next Thursday, basically, next Thursday night to kind of get this week's sketch notes in and post it to me. And if you have problems with like taking pictures or technology or need some help and trying to understand how to do it, let me know. I can totally help you and email you. And like, it's not meant to be stressful. It's meant to be a fun and different way. And, you know, it may take an hour of your time for the whole entire week to get these all out on paper, maybe a little more for some, maybe a little less for others. It just kind of depends. But remember, we're not having any tests. And this is the way I can look at and see, oh, they're making sense and understanding what we're learning in class. So this is my way of seeing what's going on. And then if you want some examples of these sketch notes, they're starting to get it into the colleges now because they're turning out to be really cool and awesome. But here's some examples of like some high school kids from the Big Bang type deals. And they don't necessarily have to be like this, but I'll show you some of the examples from last semester too, maybe next week as we get moving forward. But these are the ideas that we're looking at. So there's a link on your sketch notes right down there if you want to see some other folks and how they do it. And you might want to look at some of the elementary and junior high kids too, because the stuff they do is pretty mind-blowing. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that really fast?
I have a question.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
If we handwrite our notes, do we just take a picture and put it on the slide, or do we need to make a slide also for it?
Yeah, no, so each week, so basically what I'm going to do, and I'll skip over that, on Canvas, you'll see in the modules here, it says weekly sketch note requirements template. So if you click on that, it'll open up the template. And these are the things that I'd like to have you done or have you do by next Thursday that kind of rehash everything that we've talked about. So for example, the small group cartoon ordering activity. Oh, before I get to there, let me answer your question better. Yes, all you need to do is you'll add a new slide to each week. So if this is your sketchbook, you can delete all of the other ones that you don't need anymore. And then you just, I started you out, big idea number one, we need to understand the nature of science. And then if you want to add another slide, you just right click on it and you can either duplicate slide or you can add a slide right over here on the left-hand side by clicking that. But yes, just take a picture of your notes if you draw it by hand and then copy and paste those pictures into your slide. And if you draw big and you have like a lot of paper, you can use multiple slides for 1 week. You don't have to just be restricted to one slide or whatever. It's digital, so you can go as big as you want, right? So it's up to you guys. Does that answer your question? Good enough?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so for this week then, there's a couple of different things. And the way I've ordered it is kind of like in a progression from left to right. You can order it however you need to and what makes sense to you, but this is what made sense to me. So I want you to reflect on what was it like having to collaboratively decide on your sequence. So there's some things to think about. And then when we had that share out, what did you notice about other wonderings like that? All right, so that's one little bit. And then what was the purpose of putting those cartoons in order, which we already kind of discussed, but you can have your own ideas that go here. Now, the next little last bits right here, that's going to come from a reading we're going to do really quick. And then I'll send you on your way where you guys can finish this. We'll clear up some ideas. And then we'll send you on your way. And then you guys can do this kind of on your own. So where'd it go? Sorry. It's Friday night. I know you guys are doing awesome hanging in there. And this was really the highlight of my day, is being able to come back and spend time with everybody here. All right, there we go. Back on track here. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to send it in the chat. Let's see here. Oops, somebody had a question in the chat. Oh, okay. Let me, what the heck? There we go. All right, so there we go. So here's a chat, and in this link, or the link in the chat, and if you open it, it's going to open up this page right here, where it says practice identifying data inferences and PKBs, which stands for prior knowledge and beliefs, right down there. All right. So here's what I'd like you to do. We're going to spend 7 minutes. I'm going to let you guys kind of just read this. And then it's going to tell you what data is, what prior knowledge and beliefs is, and what inferences are. And then I would like you to read just a quick little passage here. And then in about 7 minutes, I'm going to put you back in your breakout rooms. And as a small group, what I'd like you to do is, and you don't have to write these down in here, but they can go down in your sketch notes later on, is what are 2 references from David Attenborough's writing? And if David Attenborough's the BBC guy that you see on all the nature programs, like what is it, BBC Earth and all that good stuff. So he wrote these really cool little paragraph here. So what you're going to do is, what are 2 references that he uses? What are 2 inferences that he uses? So the references are going to be like the data points. And then what are some of the inferences that he's making from that? So let's take about 7 minutes or so, 5 or 6 minutes, read these first little paragraphs. Then I'm going to pop you into your breakout rooms again really fast for about 5 minutes. You guys can have a quick discussion about these. We can have a whole group discussion, and then that'll pretty much almost be it for the evening, and we'll be done a little bit early. Anybody have any questions? All right, so I'm gonna set a little timer here, give you everybody a chance to read. I'll mute myself and we'll come back at, let's say, 6:33 or something like that. And I'll be here, so if you need anything, just holler. All right, so I'll give everybody about a minute to kind of peruse up here, and then I'm gonna, well, I'll give you a minute to finish up, and then I'll tell you what we're doing. All right, so shrink my screen here. All right, so I'm going to pop you into breakout groups really quickly, and then what I'd like you to do is come up and, as a group, think about what are 2 references to data so that David Attenborough talked about. So the data are things that you can, right, remember, things that you can sense or measure. That's what data is, right? So how big something is, how small something is, its color, you know, direct observations. And then it also asks you to come up with 2 inferences. So the inferences are things that might make you go, well, how do they know that? So when in his little writing there, he makes some claims about different things like the past environments. How do they know that? What is the data that they use to make those inferences? All right. And then as a small group, just what I'd like you to do is come up with 1 or 2 beliefs that you think that person, or prior knowledge or beliefs that those people would have to have in order to make the inferences, or to make, to understand what they're talking about. So what they believe to be true. So the data is the things that you can feel, that you can observe. The inferences then are, you know, trying to figure out reconstructing a past environment or something like that. Hint, hint, hint. And then what are some of the place-based, or not place-based, but prior knowledge and beliefs that somebody had to experience in order to make those inferences. So that was a really fumbling explanation, but I think you get the idea and the gist here. So I'm going to send you out to your breakout rooms. We'll have about 6 minutes here to have some quick conversations with each other, and then I'll show you the last little bit for the night, and that'll be it. So let me actually put the timer for the correct amount of time right now, and we'll go there. So here we go. We'll open all the rooms, and I'll see you on the other side.
Sorry, it logged me out for some weird reason.
Oh, that's
So I
fine.
had to log back in.
Can you get into room 9 or no?
How do I do that? Oh, just click on the break rooms on the bottom?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I think you should get there. Yeah.
So it was the
I know there was there was one that was saying like some were no bigger than a chicken. So like if we think of chickens on how like, you know, small they were, that's pretty small. I mean, I'll be scared of them, but
besides that one.
So how y'all doing? You finding some data in things or inferences or?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a question for the prior knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Could the first line, is that one prior knowledge, how it was built around a cliff?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't have a picture or anything like that. Or it could also, I guess, yeah, so if you've never been there before, then you wouldn't necessarily know that. Or if they're writing about it, it could also be a piece of data as well, right? They're describing an actual thing.
Oh, right, because it says something about it's a single layer of stone.
Yeah, about 4 meters thick, which is like 12 feet or somewhere in that neighborhood.
So that leans more towards data.
I think that would lean more towards data. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So carry on. And if you have some other ideas, share them with each other. That's kind of the idea here is don't be afraid to share like, oh, I think this is data and things like that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
There's not much else to say.
Well, oh, so you guys got it all? You're good?
I think we shared
all right.
Glad.
All right, cool. Then I'll check and see what the other breakout rooms are doing, and then we'll probably head out.
Thank you.
All right, we're almost done. I promise. Y'all have been hanging in and doing really great. I know these first Fridays are a little rough, but we're almost done. We're almost there. And then we get into actual real science after this too. Okay, so just really fast, would anybody like to just share briefly, an inference or like some data just to kind of share so to make sure we're all on the same page here? Or how about, let's say, an inference, so things that they inferred about.
Well, for our group, we did for an inference The gigantic rotting carcasses of dinosaurs floated down, beached on the sandbank, and were dismembered. They're partly by putrefaction and partly by smaller dinosaurs that came to feast on carrion. We
Okay.
said that one because they didn't actually like see the carcasses float down, but they're inferring that they did.
So how do you guys suppose, how do you suppose they can make an inference like that?
From like looking at like the land and what's like happened, and they like infer from that, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one piece of data they could use. Like if they said, you know, maybe they were eaten by smaller dinosaurs, well, what would be some evidence perhaps that might lead them to believe that they were being eaten by other dinosaurs?
I mean, I took a dinosaurs class and
Oh, cool. Well then,
they found one time like a dinosaur fossil that had eaten like a thing of like dinosaur eggs. So then they knew that those dinosaurs would eat other dinosaur eggs.
all right.
Maybe they found pieces. I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe like teeth marks or something like that on fossil bones or things like that. So that's where one piece of evidence could lead to a big inference for sure. Right? Anybody else have another? I mean, there's lots of inferences in here. Anybody have another one they want to share or?
We talked about the way the river ran. I noticed it said that the bones were facing a certain way, and they determined that it was because that was the way the river ran.
Interesting. So there's the data that helped them make that inference. And I promise you by 3 weeks from now, y'all will be able to understand and read the rocks in a very similar way and tell the history and the story like that. So awesome. Then I also think kind of the bloated one too. I'll tell you this really fast since we started about the dinosaurs that we found in Patterson, Del Puerto Canyon. Those are land dinosaurs, those hadrosaurs, those like duckbill dinosaurs. But when they died, they found those fossils in marine sediments. So sediments that are the ocean. It used to be the ocean. 65 million years ago, this part of California where we live right now was under the ocean. It was not the land that we know today. So how did a dinosaur that walked on land get buried down in ocean sediments? And the hypothesis is, and they've proved it with, or they've confirmed this hypothesis, is basically when some animals die and they bloat and they fill with gases, they could get washed out on a flash flood or something and float on the rivers. And then when they float out to the ocean, then their body kind of pops and the gases leave, and then it sinks down to the bottom of the ocean and can get buried and become fossils that way. So I think that's where they're getting that putrid, bloated idea from, which is kind of cool. So one other just quick last little thing here. So this picture, when we talk about prior knowledge, this is actually the place they're talking about. This is Dinosaur National Monument in these pictures. One picture I went on a trip after I graduated college, but went back on an MJC field trip just because it was like $450 to go see 20 national parks for 2 weeks, which was awesome. And then that's the wall with all the dinosaur fossils. And on the right is me when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, maybe 9, 8, I think 8. But I had the privilege in the family, you know, my folks were teachers. And so we got to do summer vacations and I got to have a background experience that was meaningful and helped me understand this passage maybe more than folks that had never been there before without a picture. So these background experiences are definitely going to flavor what you think about and what students think about and what other people think about and what their background brings to that conversation. So some folks may have richer backgrounds in one area than the others. All right. And that brings us then to what this is the very last thing, that science is a consensus of understanding, and what we kind of talked about if I made you stay here until 10 o'clock to come up with an idea. But here's how consensus can be reached. All right. There's lots of different ways in science where consensus can be reached. Sometimes it can be communications at conferences where you have big conferences and all the nerds get together and we have big conversations and we share new research and we have discussions about it, and they're just amazing things. Sometimes they write scientific publications and they go through the peer review process. And, you know, the cream of the crop after it gets through those peer reviews, that's what becomes kind of the running ideas until maybe somebody comes up with something new that changes it. Another big one is the replication of reproducible results by others. So if you say a rock is going to break at X amount of pressure, if everybody else can do that, yep, sure, it breaks at that pressure. So that's one way, is that replication of results. You can have lots of scholarly debate. There's, you know, lots of different ways about how plate tectonics works exactly that are still being debated, like some of these other the way things move sometimes. Peer review. And then I just want to make sure that everybody knows this too, but indigenous knowledge. So there's lots of indigenous knowledge of the first peoples that especially lived in California and lived in North America and all over the world. They have their own ways of knowing, and it maybe was not written down in the same way that Western science has done, but they have oral tradition or sometimes pictorial traditions. They can express concepts that are very scientific. And that is also a scientific consensus, is through those indigenous knowledges. And science is starting to come around, Western science anyways, is starting to come around and being better at acknowledging that. I just want to make sure that, you know, everybody has these different backgrounds and different ways of knowing things. And that's the big thought. So my parting thought here is, can true consensus be reached without diverse representation in the scientific process that I just kind of showed you above? So that's something I want to leave you with to think about. And I mean, if you're kind of a scholar of science, you can think about Western science and from the 1800s into the early, you know, even as far back as just 15, 20 years ago, you know, whose voices are heard and whose voices rise to the tops historically, and is that necessarily a true consensus? So just something to think about. And so for your notes tonight, your sketch notes, basically all you need to do for the date, oops, doggone it, where it says data, prior knowledge, just give me a quick little definition of what scientific data is, and then draw a quick little sketch or a model of some of the examples from Attenborough's writing. So the thing that we just read. So you could draw a little sketch there. You know, the prior knowledge, what's prior knowledge in your words, and what prior knowledge was used in that writing. So just try to draw a quick little sketch to bring that to life. And that's what these sketch notes are for. So this week's are kind of simple. They're pretty easy. As we move forward, they're still going to be not hard, but they'll have more concrete things of what you're supposed to write. And then also in this box over there, so how do data, prior knowledge, and inference influence our understanding of the world? What's consensus understanding? And then why is diverse representation important in science? So this is kind of an open-ended, in your opinion type thing right here. So that's that. The last thing I would like for you to do before you leave, and I'll stick around for questions also, but at the end of each class, I do a sunshines and blues. So let me cut this, and I'm going to put this link in the chat. And doggone it, my chat keeps disappearing here. There it is. All right, so it's that second link. So it's another Jamboard, and all the way this works is it's pretty easy. If you had something that worked well for you, or you learned something new, I call that a sunshine. So all you have to do is get a sticky note and put that on there. And sometimes if there's too many people on one page, it crashes. So if you can't add a sticky note, just wait a second. And then the blues are, you just add a blue sticky note that, you know, something that could have gone better or you'd like to see changed, something like that. And this is how I get kind of weekly direct feedback before we go. And then once you've got that done, you're free to go for the night. I will start uploading this video here as soon as we're done. And hopefully it'll be up on the Canvas page underneath in the modules. You'll see it says class replay, and I'll put those on our private YouTube. So you can come back and watch this class anytime you want. It's better than a free subscription to Netflix. Come watch everybody talk, right, about science. So it's there. And then, oh, by the way, yeah, I guess I didn't put that picture in the background, but these are anonymous, so you don't have to leave your name or anything like that on those sunshines and blues. But if you can leave me something, that's fine. If you don't have any blues, you can just leave a note that says none. I use that as data points. So even if it's no data, some data is okay. So once you got that done, leave a sunshine and blue for me. You can take off, and I'll see you next week. And I'm here to take questions and all that good stuff if you need it. All right. And with that, au revoir. It was nice meeting some of you, and I appreciate you spending your Fridays with me.
I have a quick question for
I'll
the
try to
breakout
answer.
room.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The breakout room Jamboard, that we don't have to submit it, right? Since
Oh
you
yeah, that's a great question. You guys don't have to submit anything. I'm going through and I've looked at that, and I'll probably change the way I list those on Canvas so it's not like an assignment in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks that's a good question.
Professor?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. So for the reading, do we have to put that in our sketch note?
Let me stop sharing my screen there. Basically, some of the things that we did from our reading are in that sketch note. So I'll share and go back to that. So right here on the right-hand side, or this part, doggone it, my little pointer thingy disappeared. There it is. So like the data, the prior knowledge, and the inferences, that's from that little reading that we just did. So you can fill those out from there. Yep. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? I don't know.
Let me make sure if it's in the sketch note because I don't remember seeing it.
So this right here, I think I know where it's confusing. So the first thing that you did, that sketch note, that's the one you downloaded. And then if you go back to Canvas, there's going to see what's called the sketchnote template. Once you can click on that. So what you've downloaded looks like this one right here, like with all the instructions and stuff. And then the template has this on it right here. And this gives you an idea of what to do. So if you click the template, this is kind of the outline of the things I'd like you to answer, which is on that one right there.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I probably should have put it on together on the same one to begin with, but.
So do you want me to put the big idea? You want me to put it on the sketch note?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this will go on your sketch note. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It's supposed to be like a blank piece of paper that you can order it however you want. This is just the way I thought, but these are the things that you need to have on that sketch note for this first class.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Professor?
Yes. Let me see who's talking. Okay, Jessica. Hello.
Hold on. I was just going to ask you, I had put for prior knowledge that they said that it was the largest land living creature. Would that be prior knowledge or would that be inference?
Well, I mean, I guess it could be both depending on how you go, but definitely if they're making the claim that it's the largest thing, they've probably had to have some prior knowledge about other animals and dinosaurs. So I think that's one deal. And then I think they definitely are also making inferences based on that, based on the data they have to make that claim that it is definitely the biggest thing. So I think you could couch it any way you want, as long as you can support your idea.
Okay, is it something that we could put when we do our notes? Can we put the same thing in both?
Totally, yeah. And you can put why you did that though. So just make a quick little note of why you did that, and yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.